The Omni Talk Fast Five is brought to you with support from the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Mirakl. Mirakl is the global leader in platform business innovation for e-commerce. Companies like Macy's, Nordstrom, and Kroger use Mirakl to build disruptive growth and profitability through marketplace, dropship, and retail media. For more, visit mirakl.com. That's Mirakl.com. And Simbe. Simbe powers the most retail banners in the world with today's only multimodal platform for in-store intelligence. See how Albertsons, BJ's, Spartan Nash, and Wakefern win with AI and automation at simberobotics.com. And Ocampo Capital. Ocampo Capital is a venture capital firm founded by retail executives with the aim of helping early-stage consumer businesses succeed through investment and operational support. Learn more at ocampocapital.com. And finally, Scratch Event DJs. Scratch Event DJs tap into its unrivaled network of top local DJs to provide brands with high-quality, curated in-store experiences. Anytime, anywhere. Find out more at events.scratch.com. You are listening to Omni Talk's Retail Fast Five, ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, and currently the only retail podcast ranked in the top 100 of all business podcasts on Apple Podcasts. The Retail Fast Five is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. And the Fast Five is just one of the many great podcasts that you can find from the Omni Talk Retail Podcast Network, alongside our Retail Daily Minute, which brings you a curated selection of the most important retail headlines every morning, and our Retail Technology Spotlight series, which goes deep each week on the latest retail technology trends. It's January 15th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Anne Mezzenga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here live from NRF, New York City once again to discuss all the top headlines from the past week making waves in the world of omnichannel retailing. Chris, I'm giving this podcast every last ounce of energy that I have.
I can hear it in your voice, Anne. You can probably hear it in mine too. I mean, I'm a horse. I'm hanging in there, man.
Oh.
I joked in the Retail Daily Minute this morning. I used the quote from Escape from New York with Snake Plissken, and I was like, this is exactly how I feel. I want to escape from New York. I want to get home, take a bath, get in my bed, the whole 9 yards.
I love how you paused after Escape from New York by whoever Flipkin or whatever you just said. Like I knew what the quote you were talking about. So I was like, and continue. You're going to have to explain that one for me, as you always have to.
Par for the course, and I've actually not even seen that movie, believe it or not. But anyway, that's another story, and we've got a lot of NRF stuff to get to, and we got a flight to catch in a couple hours. We don't have ideal video conditions here. We're both in our hotel room at the 4 Points Sheraton, right, Ann? So Sheraton, is that what we're saying? A 4 Points
But I mean, can we shout out to these people? They are amazing.
I love the 4
I
Points.
mean, I kind of don't want to share it with anybody because it is the hidden gem of hotels, I think, when you're going to NRF, but they are such a great team. I'm sure they're definitely not listening, so I don't know why I took the time to do that. But
our fans are, and they will take up and snatch up and snatch up the hotel rooms. In fact, I want to give a shout out because I ran into a fan in the elevator, and I have no idea what his name is. I just know he was at booth 3456. I can't remember the company's name, but he's like, "You're Chris from Omni Talk." And I was like, I had just gotten my shirt on. I just gone down to get coffee. Didn't have a badge or anything.
Yeah.
And all I can remember is his booth number because it was 3456. So shout out to him. Hope he's still listening. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to stop by because we were just so busy at the show. But yeah, Anne, should we get going?
Yes. Thank you to everybody who stopped by too at NRF. We just can't tell you enough how much we appreciate everybody coming up and saying hello and sharing your own Omni Talk experience. So we love it so much. But yeah, let's get to the show.
All right, Ann. Well, believe it or not, we're sitting here in New York, and it's time to start talking about our next big conference in New York City before we get to today's headlines. Because coming up this June 24th and 26th, when hopefully it'll be much warmer here, because it was freaking cold here in New York. You can come join Ann and me at the Commerce Next Growth Show. You can discover actionable insights from industry leaders and take your e-commerce and retail strategy to the next level with 2,700 plus industry leaders and 75 plus action-packed sessions. Scaled retailers and brands qualify for a free ticket. That's free, folks. Or you can use code OMNITALK, OMNITALK. That's OMNITALK, all one word, for 10% off and secure your spot today. So today's headlines are, of course, brought to you by Commerce Next. And in today's Fast Five, we've got news on Amazon's $11 billion investment in AI in the great state of Georgia. Best Buy launching a new revamped marketplace with Mirakl. Amazon again, this time for letting online retailers use its ad tools. Meta allowing listings from eBay on its marketplace. And Blue Yonder's Tim Robinson stops by for 5 insightful minutes on how retailers should think about handling returns in 2025. But we begin today with what feels like to me, and I'm curious what you think, more bad news out of Macy's.
Oh, we might have a discussion on this one. Let's go to
Oh,
headline
okay.
number one. All right, Chris, Macy's last Thursday revealed the first 66 locations that it plans to close as part of its plans announced nearly a year ago to shutter about 150 stores. According to Retail Dive, the 66 locations span 22 states and many are mall anchor locations. Several are also standalone furniture stores that in some cases will shift operations to nearby full line stores. Department store is closing 4 of its 24 small format stores, a shift from the acceleration of small format openings announced in 2023. 6 out of the 9 of the retailer's freestanding off-price backstage locations will also close. Chris, are
Mhm.
you surprised at all by the details surrounding Macy's store closure news? I think I might know the answer to this.
Yeah, I think I am. I am somewhat surprised. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm not I'm not like on the shocked level. Like if 1 through 10, if 10 was shocked, I'm probably like a 5 here. Like I'm surprised that this is what they're saying because particularly that it looks like it's an about face on their small format stores, and like it's
Hmm.
100% about face. And I think that about face is important to call out for two reasons. First, we visited these stores in Texas. I think one of which is closing now, if I'm not mistaken, from reading the article. And we were not impressed. In fact, I
Yeah.
think my joke at the end of that video tour was, if it walks like a Macy's and quacks like a Macy's, it's still a Macy's.
Hmm.
Because, and I still, for the life of me, can't understand why the world needs a scaled down Macy's. I've just never bought into that idea. So that's why I'm kind of not surprised by this headline.
Sure,
But
sure.
then two, and this is the more important point here, it tells me that they don't have a new path to growth upon which they can rely with any great
Hmm.
certainty right now. And that
Hmm.
is that is freaking scary, I think. Everything they've been telling the media and the analyst community could soon blow up in their face. And while Macy's, here's the other point. While Macy's is reporting supposedly good news about their bold new chapter strategy in their
Hmm.
50 stores. Like, I'm always skeptical when I hear about 50 store tests because the entire executive team is rallied around those. The entire store operations team is rallied around those. They're
It's a
getting
really
the
good
resources
point.
to be successful. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're going to work in the short term, but at some point, those types of pilots revert back to the mean. And so
Right.
that's why I'm just like, wow, I don't see you've got a lot here going on, Tony Spring. And so I'm very skeptical again about your growth trajectory and whether department stores are still going to exist.
Yeah,
But what do you think? You
it's
sound
like
like
having 50 flagship stores, right?
it
Like
is. It
you're
is. I mean, it is.
yeah.
That's the thing. If you know retail like we do, like yes, these are going to be successful because
Yeah.
by crook or by nook or whatever the hell the expression is, Tony Spring's going to make sure that's not right. I know, but by hook or by crook, that's what the
By
right
hook or
expression
by
is.
crook.
Yeah, right. Tony Spring is going to make sure that these things work because his reputation depends on it, right?
Hmm.
So yeah. So I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah, it
it sounded
diverts
like you had
media
a different
attention.
opinion.
It diverts
Yeah,
media attention. I mean, no, I guess my whole point is that I actually think this is the most sensible thing that they can do. I mean, I think that what Tony Spring is doing is
yeah,
trimming the fat here. Like this is just Macy's is making sensible moves about, you gotta start shutting some of these down because they're having a huge impact on the bottom line. And our sources that we've talked to at Macy's, like it was mentioned in the article, like a lot of these malls are the only like the only store that's still in a dead or dying mall, and no
right,
one's going to come there. There's no other reasons to get them there, so it just
right,
doesn't make sense. It's a bad experience because, like I think you said in a conversation we were having here, like there's nobody that wants to work there. Like it's a bad experience. It's souring your experience with the brand immediately. So I think that it makes sense. And honestly, Chris, I kind of give them kudos for shutting down these small format stores because I think a lot of other
yeah. I mean,
retailers
yeah,
would have
yeah. It would have
kept
stuck to their
going. I
guns.
think they
Yeah,
would have tried to push it, and you're 100% right. Like small format Macy's, I don't hate the idea, but it can't just be Macy's shoved into a smaller box. And that was a big problem for me, was that there's a glut of inventory. Like it just the the sales experiences weren't consistent. Like it didn't make sense. So I think I'm kind of impressed. I'm going to give Tony Spring a little bit of a boost here and say like this
Hmm.
is a very Amazon move of them. Like this isn't
Yeah,
working. We're cutting it out. Even though we invested a bunch of money, we told everybody we were going to, this was our strategy. Like, we can't make money off the backstage stores. The small format Macy's isn't working. Like, they're going to have to try to course correct and make those tough decisions right now if they want to survive as a brand. So, uh,
yeah.
not surprised, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's kind of it's probably a smart move, but it's not a move that makes me feel any better about the trajectory. That's the
For a
thing,
hundred
right?
percent agree.
Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's got to be more going. I still like I think that I really think that Macy's just needs to sit down, take a hard look at what the future of Macy's needs to be, and then start acting on it, and even start consolidating. I think some of the larger Macy's footprints too, to really figure out what makes the most economical sense and
Well,
what the new customer wants.
it's interesting too because he came out yesterday and said he said I think on stage at NRF even he said like we believe in having three brands. He doesn't want to spin them off. He
Yep.
wants it when and I actually think we've talked about it before, but I think Bloomie's as a small store strategy makes a ton of sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, but the other point I make too, Ann, before we move on, is we interviewed Joe Call, their head
Yep.
of assets protection,
Yep.
and great guy, learned a
Oh,
ton.
so brilliant.
Great interview to hear his perspective, particularly on putting products behind glass. It was really interesting to listen to. But the thing I got listening to him, I was just like, man, department stores are just so hard and so outdated. You've got multiple entrances you've got to guard. You've got split levels at most of these stores. Like it's just kind of the dinosaur in a lot of ways. But anyway, all right. Headline number two. According to Reuters, Amazon said last week that its cloud computing division, Amazon Web Services, plans to invest about $11 billion to expand its infrastructure in Georgia to support cloud computing and AI technologies. Quote, the investments in Butts and Douglas counties are expected to create hundreds of jobs and enhance Georgia's position as a hub for cutting edge digital innovation, end quote. And
Yes.
I'm still getting over Butts County. How should the rest of
How
retail?
how has that gone unknown? I've never, did you know about Butts County? I didn't know. I mean,
I didn't know there was a Butts County. No.
this is the overtired, like 3-year-old sense of
Yep.
humor right now
Yep.
coming out in me where
Yep.
Butts County, who
Yep.
knew? Okay.
Yep. I know, right?
Continue. You were
So
asking me
anyway,
a very professional,
I
important
was.
question. Let's
I
let's
was
get
trying to
back.
keep this podcast classy. And how should the rest of retail be reacting to Amazon's $11 billion AI investment in the Peach State?
I think everybody should be paying very close attention to this. We heard NVIDIA, their CEO was speaking at CES earlier, whatever week we're in right now. And then
Right.
we had Azita Martin on stage with John Furner here at NRF, just talking about even more, like we know NVIDIA is huge. We know that they're the key to all of the continuous AI development that's going to be happening. But Chris, what they were showing on stage at NRF, it's just like it's even beyond, I think, what we can even comprehend. So I think the fact that Amazon's investing $11 billion in continuing to bolster their AI capabilities, especially, everybody's got to get their piece. And right now is the time that you got to be doing it because, it's going to be impossible to catch up to people like NVIDIA. But if you're not doing anything to think about this, like you got to figure out how you're going to set yourself up for the structure or the foundation to have successful uh, pieces in place to really succeed with AI because there's just no way that you cannot use this. There's no way that if you are a technology company, you cannot be making these types of investments right now, especially the agentic AI stuff, Chris. Like for those in our audience,
Yeah,
like
explain what agentic AI
this
is
was
or
a
how you
relative.
interpret agentic AI.
Yeah, so like I was telling you, like when we, who we were, oh, Keith Mercier from from Microsoft was
Microsoft.
on our podcast leading up to NRF. He was talking about agentic AI. And I think that for a lot of people, that was like the first kind of the first place that we were hearing about it, I
Yeah.
immediately assumed agentic AI, like an agent, a call center agent, a bot that you're interacting with on the website. Oh God, no. This was like
No.
Azita and John were on stage. They were showing like a complete transformation of a DC where agentic AI just basically means, in my understanding, it's just these are the jobs that AI is doing 1,000 times better than people, and they are just going to
Yeah.
catapult every single industry. And so that's where this $11 billion investment in Georgia, you're just like, yeah, this is the kind of money that we're going to have to be throwing at this. This is kind of infrastructure we're going to have to be building for this to be successful. It's beyond what I think we can even comprehend right now.
Yeah, or said another way, all those inventory planning and allocation jobs that are the starting grounds for most
Right.
retailers, those are going to become, AI agents in the long run. Is basically what
Yes.
is how I would read into that
Yes.
what you just said. So, I mean, and I don't have much to add here. I mean, I just thought of a way to put this in perspective for our audience. 11 billion, 11 in $11 billion investment is more than twice the market cap of Macy's, which we just talked about. Macy's market cap is $4 billion. So $11 billion is more than twice the value of Macy's right now. So
Yeah.
that's the scale of the resources that we're talking about here with which Amazon has to win and forge its trail in the next generation of AI-based commerce. That's crazy when you think about it. And so other retailers are not going to stand a chance. So I'm a little more like doomsday tinfoil hat here, and going back
Yeah.
to an expression
Understandably.
we used to use like 3 or 4 years ago, because it's going to be impossible to keep up with them. I'm not even sure Walmart can keep up with this, at the end of the day. So the only path I see here is that Amazon either gets bigger and bigger and puts more retailers out of business, right?
Yeah.
Or gobbles them up too, maybe acquires them, who knows? Or the government gets involved and breaks up AWS, because
Yeah.
the combination of those two is just making Amazon so powerful in this landscape that there's no way it's going to be a fair playing field, with them being able to, have that in their back pocket to dominate the space.
Yeah, that's a great point. And not just Amazon. I mean, you look at all of these companies like Nvidia even. Like I think that there's going to be legislation changes that have to happen because people like Nvidia, people like Amazon that have these deep pockets are investing so much money in being able to do like no one's going to be able to catch up with them. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on to headline number three, Chris. Best Buy plans to launch a new third-party marketplace in the US in mid-2025. According to Modern Retail, CEO Corey Berry told investors about the new marketplace on an earnings call in November, saying it would give its customers access to a larger assortment and new categories. It will also give sellers and advertisers a new avenue on which to increase their reach and build their brands, she said. The new platform is a partnership with Mirakl, a software company that also powers third-party marketplaces for Macy's, Nordstrom, and Kroger, which you've definitely heard me say before because Mirakl is also a sponsor of this podcast.
Yes, full
Uh,
disclosure.
Yes, and it that complement this traditional e-commerce sites with a larger selection from third-party sellers. The move follows a previous attempt from 2011 to 2016 when Best Buy launched a marketplace to compete with Amazon, but shut it down. It only brought in 1% of Best Buy's revenue and created confusion among buyers who thought they could return the inventory to Best Buy stores, a Best Buy spokesperson told e-commerce bites in 2016. Chris, this is also our A&M put you on the spot question. Are you
Wow, I'm on
ready?
a roll with these questions. Jesus. All
Yes,
right, let's do
yes.
it. Yeah.
Chris, marketplaces continue to thrive and multiply. Call them the new retail media network. To that end,
Mm.
will marketplaces like Best Buy stand on their own long term, or will this proliferation of independent retailer marketplaces end up significantly consolidating?
Interesting.
Chris.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I agree that they're the new retail media of 2025. I
Yeah.
think I think they're a little bit different here. And to answer that question, I don't really see any consolidation. I think, some marketplace efforts will be more successful than others, and some will get the traffic therefore, and others won't. But at the end of the day, running them has gotten so much more efficient because of the platforms that are out there, that I think it
Hmm.
makes it easier for people to try to do this and see to what degree a marketplace works for them. But I
Yeah.
don't see consolidation of marketplace efforts happening, which is why, honestly, if I come back to the headline, I am decidedly pro on this move because,
Yeah.
the thing I'd call out, it's not 2016 anymore. It's
Hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2025,
It's
and
a great point.
just to
Yeah.
call it out,
Yeah.
and retail and Best Buy have both changed a lot in the last 10 years. Like I think this 10 years has seen the most change in retail that I can ever remember.
Yes.
And so a number of things I call out that are different than, back in 2016. One, platforms like Mirakl just make it easier. Like I said already, like they make
Mm-hmm.
it easier. And,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of platforms you can do this with, but they're using Mirakl, they're a sponsor, and it just makes it easier to do. Second, the omni-channel sophistication with which retailers are operating is far greater than it ever was. So the idea of returns being the hamstringing factor here isn't as
Mm-hmm.
large of a concern as it probably was before. I think people have started to figure out how to do things around that. Different business models, different technology solutions have come up around
Yeah.
solving that problem, and it will continue to get better and better. And then here's the last point I'd add too, or no, second to last point actually. I got another point after this. Third, I think subscriptions are a bigger part of the game here.
Yep.
So, and loyalty. And we learned from Christian Revo yesterday at the Revo group that loyalty is a key piece of my fourth point, which is going to be retail media. So, tease. But Best Buy has a pretty robust loyalty program with
Mm-hmm.
lots of great benefits. So, I could see customers going on their site wanting to purchase other items from Best Buy, given their loyalty and the fringe benefits that come with being a member. And fourth, of course, the retail media landscape is way different. We've talked about this a
Mm-hmm.
lot on our show, but retail media, the marketplaces extend the reach of retail media. And Best Buy is one of those retailers that has a national retail media reach. So for all those reasons, those four reasons, I think this is a great move by Best Buy. I salute Corey Berry and hope we can get them on the show to talk about it more.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you kind of hit on all the points, Chris, that I agree with. I think, it's a search game. If you can show up to
Yeah.
more people, you have more access. And like you said, Best Buy has a great loyalty program. They also, I think, have things like that they can tie in down the road that makes sense, like Geek Squad support for those items. I do also think that the returns issue can be solved. I mean, you take a look at what Walmart's doing with their Walmart, with Walmart Plus and what they're doing
Mhm.
with their marketplace. Like they've got it figured out. The solution is out there. Best Buy is an intelligent retailer. They can definitely figure that out. And that's a great value to Best Buy's customers. The other thing, too, that I'm also curious to see if Best Buy starts to bring into this, they built that platform where you can go on bestbuy.com and you can click the button and do a live demo with a blue shirt
Yep.
right then and there. I mean, if
Yep.
they can expand that capability to offer that to their marketplace vendors too, where like, hey, you want to use our technology in order to like have a conversation with this person about the patio set that they're about to buy from Best Buy. Like this is a great opportunity. And I think you're 100% right in that this isn't a one and done thing. Best Buy is coming back to this with new strategic measures in place to make sure that this is successful. So I salute the move as well. I think it's a great revisiting of the marketplace and definitely picking the right partner in Mirakl. We've worked with them quite a bit, and I think they've seen a lot of the retailers they're working with are seeing a lot of success from that. So good
Nice.
job,
All
Best
right.
Buy.
Well, great segue here too, Ann, because it just so happens that we have Tim on to talk about returns. Let's bring
Oh,
Tim on to the
yes.
show. Joining us now for 5 insightful minutes is Blue Yonder's Corporate Vice President, Tim Robinson. Tim is here to take us through Blue Yonder's most recent consumer returns survey. Tim, first question, may be obvious, but I want to get your take on it. Why should retailers be reimagining returns?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, there are probably three key areas. I think the first thing is it's easy to forget that returns are inventory. Up to 15% of items that are fulfilled across the US come back as returns, and 95% of those items could be resold at full price. This is inventory. So they should be treating them like inventory with the same level of urgency and priority. I think the second thing is the customer experience angle. Now that e-commerce, online shopping is such a big part of the retail experience, looking at understanding the details around returns, what consumers want, how the sort of experiences they want, but also thinking about your profitability and sustainability is very important in that regard as well. And I think, like lots of facets of e-commerce as it's evolved over the years, the buy net, buy it now, one click experience, or new payment methodologies that have helped grow e-commerce. I think returns can be a differentiator. I think, unique returns experiences, the technology you deploy, the experience that provides consumers can set you apart from the rest.
Well, Tim, I can imagine a few reasons, having been a retailer myself, but what are you hearing from retailers are making returns so complex these days?
Yeah, I mean, that is the killer question for us. It ultimately comes down to the fact that returns are by their nature multi-channel. They come at you from all different directions. You remember when you were in retail, some of those returns come from digital returns platforms where you have some insight and information. Others, a customer has just ripped a label off of a parcel and filled out a form and sent it back to you. Some returns go back to the store, and store colleagues may or may not capture reasons as to why that return is coming back. It's like truly, truly multi-channel. One of our customers in Europe describes returns as their worst supplier. So 15% of all my SKUs come from this supplier. I don't have any visibility about when they're coming. I don't know what's coming, and I don't know what condition it's in. And I think that phrase really kind of describes why it's so complex.
So, Tim, I'm curious, from the chair atop which you sit, how are you seeing the best retailers address returns, and how does that ultimately benefit their end consumer or their end customer?
So, I mean, I would say over the last sort of 10 years, lots of time, money, and effort has gone into digitizing like the consumer front end. So, and there's been some great businesses that are born out of this desire to digitize the consumer experience. And that it feels like in many, many cases, particularly in the more mature e-commerce markets, that the job is done at that end of the experience. Now, it's all about what to do with that information. You're now getting more and more information about returns than you ever were before. Who's returning? Where are they returning? Why are they returning? What are they returning? It's the best retailers in this space take that information and tailor both the choices and the options they give consumers. Do you get a refund? Do you get a full refund? Might you get a partial refund? Where can you take it in order to drop it off? And they're also using that data to make the best supply chain decisions. How quickly can I get this back into inventory and sell it for full price? How can I avoid this item going to landfill and ultimately having the value ripped out of it because the system required me to? So I think it's going to be it's now about differentiation and use of data and tailoring both under the hood logistics solutions and supply chain solutions to suit, but also those downstream customer experiences.
Well, Tim, you brought something up just now that I think is really important to highlight. In the Blue Yonder survey that you did, 55% of consumers that were polled said they were somewhat concerned about the environmental impact when doing a return. And only 27%, though, would continue a returns process if they knew that their item would go to a landfill. How do you expect circularity and re-commerce to kind of affect how we as consumers look at returns?
I mean, I hope. All the signs, the macro signs are that this whole return space will ultimately evolve into a sales channel. That is the signs we're seeing. The speed at which consumers are adopting C2C, pre-loved, re-commerce experiences in different parts of the world is really encouraging in that regard. It kind of highlights that there is no kind of old world, old school, stuffiness around buying something that was ultimately pre-loved. I think one of the key things that the industry is going to need to provide consumers with in the not too distant future is absolute visibility of where your return is going. I think the idea that these items go back into a black hole and you don't see it is something which society is going to rally against as time goes on. But it's like, Chris's question earlier on about differentiation. I think the brand that gets there quickest, provides visibility and transparency about the second life of that item, I think could differentiate and could win. They could get ahead of the game really, really quickly.
That's a really, really interesting point that I've never thought about, giving visibility to what happens when you return an item and that being a point of
Yeah.
differentiation for a retailer. So, Tim, we always love to end with predictions, and you just kind of made one there. But I'm curious, do you have any other predictions in terms of how you see returns evolving over the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I've got one, which I've clung on to for a while, which is starting to play out, which is generally, in most cases, retailers apply a one size fits all approach to returns policies. It's 30 days return policy for everything. Yeah,
Right.
it's 30 days returns policy for every consumer, regardless of whether you're a consistent spender, a loyal customer. It's a blanket policy. And it's 30 days and full refund, whether it's a $10 t-shirt or a $2,000 handbag. The thing that I think the biggest move is going to be around using data. You understand every SKU, you understand its price, you understand its value, you understand every customer, you understand their value, you understand their behavior. The idea that we can't use that data to offer tailored returns policies and rules and experiences to consumers is nuts, really. And that's where I think it will go. I think we're having some fascinating conversations with retailers, particularly in the US at the minute, about using that data to tailor the rules, the returns rules, the policies for you, the consumer, based on what you're buying.
Wow, great
Wow.
stuff, Tim. Thanks for
Thanks,
joining us.
Tim.
All right, headline number 4. Amazon aims to expand its advertising business by letting retailers use its ad tools in their stores. According to CNBC, Amazon is letting other retailers use its homegrown advertising tools to run sponsored ads across their own websites. The new offering, called Amazon Retail Ad Services, allows companies to show, quote, contextually relevant ads in the right place at the right time, end quote, in search results, product pages, and other areas of their site, Amazon said. With Amazon Retail Ad Service, users will be able to customize the design, placement, and number of ads shown across their sites, as well as use Amazon's ad measurement and reporting tools. The service operates on systems that are separate from its own retail business, and retailers manage their data, no surprise, via AWS accounts. And what do you think of Amazon's new retail ad service?
I think this is a smart pivot for Amazon. I actually really like this. And the reason is because we had Robert, will you help me pronounce his last name? I want to say Jokic. Jokic. Jokic is the basketball player that I cannot
Jokic
stand.
is the basketball player, yes.
Who's my eternal enemy. Also, side note, my brother texted me last night and said that I said Jackson Smith. I said Najiba, and it's I did not pronounce it right. He's like, Ann, you've got to get your sports people's names right.
You said what?
Jackson Smith and Najiba in the Seattle Seahawks video we did at Lumen Field. I did not pronounce his name right. Thank you for fact checking me a month later. And Jokic is the next one that I'm going to get fact checked on, I am certain. But anyway, back to the Schwartz Group. So we were talking to Robert yesterday, and I thought it was so eye-opening for me how he explained retail media networks. I think he's still one of my favorite interviews. But the thing that he said is, to be successful at retail media, you cannot just take your advertising or media buyers from your retail environment and then make them in charge now of your retail media network, which I think a lot of retailers were doing early on. You have to operate as a retailer and a media company. You are essentially replacing, inline media that these media buyers used to buy. And not all companies are designed to do this or agile enough. Gets back to what you're talking about, Macy's. They're just not agile enough to do both of these things. So I think Amazon is providing a solution here that allows retailers like that to get into some of this advertising revenue. No, it is not ideal, because yes, you're still working with Amazon and they're getting some of this information, even if they say it's a separate business unit. But I think that this is still a good place for people to start to see the value that they can get from advertising like this Amazon ads capability, and then figure out, can we build this on our own? Do we need to find a partner? Do we need to join another network in order to be successful? Because there is revenue, a lot of revenue to be made here if you can do this in the right way. But what do you think about this, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, your point about retail media is really interesting because going back to I think about what A&M said, like drawing the comparison to marketplaces. I feel like the analogy I would use is marketplaces is more akin to a retailer. Like, say you're a CrossFitter and you want to become a marathoner. Like, it's not a bridge to it's not that different of a
Sure.
muscle use. But like the idea of standing up a retail media business in a lot of ways for retailers is like, being a marathoner and wanting to become a gymnast, right? It's
Right.
just a whole nother thing that you've got to learn how to do. And so yeah, I don't have much to add on this story. I mean, the thing to me is just going back to what we said in the second headline. The flywheel just keeps on spinning. I mean,
Yes.
this is a page from the playbook we've seen 1,000 times with
Mm-hmm.
Amazon selling its tech. So which in turn generates more cloud usage. The flywheel gets going, which just keeps making Amazon more and more powerful with every single user. So if I was Amazon, I mean, net, I absolutely 100% be doing the same thing, and that's all I'd say.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's a
Right.
no-brainer. Yeah,
No.
help
Yeah.
out all the online retailers that need to place ads on their site because
Mm-hmm.
they want to place ads on their site and they want to do it effectively and they want to get money for it. Yeah,
Right.
okay,
Right,
done.
right. Oh, all right. Well, Chris, let's go to headline number 5. eBay shares soared last week after Meta allowed listings on Facebook's marketplace in the US and Europe. According to CNBC, shares of eBay jumped 9% on Wednesday as Meta said it will allow some listings to show up on Facebook Marketplace. The rollout will begin with a test in Germany, France, and the US. The partnership could provide a boost to eBay's marketplace business, which has struggled to compete with e-commerce rivals like Amazon, Walmart, and Temu. Chris, do you agree with the market's reaction to eBay selling through Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
Yep, 100% I do. I don't have a lot to say on this one either. I'm going to keep it quick and turn the microphone over to you. But no, I think this is a really smart move on both sides. I think
Hmm.
on eBay's side, it extends their reach very nicely,
Hmm.
and for Facebook Marketplace too. I think it brings more trust and credibility to the platform, and
Me
and
too.
and also you get additional items too, which in a marketplace, having additional items and catches more people, catches more eyeballs. So I think it's clearly a case of 1 + 1 = 3 in my mind. I think this is really smart.
Yeah, I agree. I think this opportunity really has legs, especially to, I guess, bring people back to eBay. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I think
Yeah.
as consumers, like,
Or introduce even. Like I still
that
don't really ever use eBay. I've never
right.
really used it. Yeah.
Exactly, though. Exactly. And again, this gets back to like the search game that we were talking about with Best Buy's marketplace. Like, if I'm going on Facebook Marketplace, which is widely used now by so many people to find everything from furniture to collectibles, you name it,
Hmm.
to be able to have eBay's items plugged in, like this is already happening so much. Like, I don't know how much time you spend on Facebook Marketplace, but I go there first for most
As
things.
as little as possible, Ed. As
Fair.
little as possible.
Fair, fair. I go there for most things, especially, having just
I know you
moved.
do.
And so I'm telling you, there's already people who are, doing the POMs. Have you heard that acronym? Like POMs posted on multiple sites. So like
No,
you
what does that mean?
already posted on multiple sites. So like the
Oh,
person is posting it on Facebook Marketplace, but they're also posting it on Craigslist. They're also posting it
for
on
sure.
eBay. They're also posting like this is already happening. Think of all of the products you could have access to if you're just uploading all of your stuff now to eBay and it's just being shot out. It's like podcasting. Like you upload your one piece of media and now you can put it out to all these channels where all these people can find you. Like it's brilliant. It just makes
Yeah.
so much sense. eBay's already got this whole system locked in and ready to go, and you already have easier accessibility to things like shipping and shipping labels, taking that work out of it for you. So I think the most important thing here is just, making sure that that infrastructure is in place so that the customer experience is seamless because people are going to, be one and done with this if it's not working the right way the first time. So that's the only thing that I think is the watch out here is
Yeah,
it
people get angry on those Facebook groups. We were talking about that at dinner yesterday. Yeah, those Facebook
yes.
groups, look out, especially those
Yes.
Facebook mom groups. They get a
Yes.
hold of something, they're gonna
Oh
tear it
my
apart.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I did make some notes for you, Chris, on other things that they're talking about. Handyman recommendations. There's a lot of things we can talk about on the
Oh
plane ride
God,
home.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to. Or maybe I do, but I don't, but I do. Yes, that's the
Yes.
power of social media. You don't want to know, but you really do. Yeah,
Right.
you
Okay, Chris, let's go to the New York City themed lightning round.
do.
Chris,
Ooh,
question
okay.
number 1 for you. We had a lengthy debate in the cab about why horses have horseshoes,
Yes, we
resulting
did.
in another lengthy discussion around how weird the words hoof, 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 and
Hoof.
hooves. Chris and I had to look up how to pronounce these words. Hoof and hooves are. What other word have you always found sounds weird to you?
Oh my God, that's so funny that yes, we did have a conversation about this in the cab. It was a long conversation. I mean, we probably spent 15 minutes on this whole thing. But the word that I think sounds weird is onomatopoeia. See what I
Oh,
did there,
I
Ann?
love that word. I do love that
See what I
word
did
though.
there? Because it's a
I
word that
did.
sounds like it is. And
Yes,
you asked me
yes,
what word
yes.
sounds weird. Onomatopoeia. Yes,
Oh my
100%.
God. Oh my God.
Bad Bunny and Jimmy Fallon held a surprise concert in the New York City subway station this week. Bunnies notwithstanding, what is the baddest animal in your mind?
Mice.
Oh, yeah? Yeah?
I just feel
You
like they're,
run into some badass mice in your day, Ann?
you just can't, they're like, even my
They
sister-in-law
just
was
keep
like, we
coming.
had a
They just
mouse
keep
and it was
coming.
kind of cute. And I was like,
No,
no, that's what they want
no.
you to think. They want you to think they're like sneaky bad animals and they will just find a way and they freak me out so much. I hate them. So that would be the baddest animal. What's your baddest animal?
Oh, geez, I hadn't thought about it. I think I'd probably go with mice too. I hate mice. Like mice are just terrible, terrible, terrible creatures. I don't like cats either, Ann. I don't like
Oh
cats.
God, you gotta be careful. You can't get
No,
into domesticated animals. Mice
uh,
are like that's okay. But
I had a
watch
cat
out.
scratch me one time. It was disastrous.
Did you get a
Yeah.
fever?
So cats are bad animals. They're badass animals too, Ann. Yes, I did get a fever after the cat scratch. I got a cat scratch disease. There's a little disease called cat scratch disease, and I got
Oh
it from the
Jesus.
cat.
You definitely did. You definitely
I
did. I'm not
did.
surprised at all
I
to
don't
hear
remember what
that.
it's called. Somebody can look it up, but yeah,
Cat
I
scratch
got the cat
fever.
scratch disease. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, if you had to stand in without warning as an extra with an ensemble dance number in a Broadway musical, would you rather do that or 30 minutes of open mic stand-up at a comedy club? Without warning. They're just like, Chris, go.
Oh my
What do you
God. I
do?
mean, the answer. 30 minutes is a long time, but I'm definitely choosing the stand up because,
Are you?
you know, yeah, I mean, as bad as my dad jokes are, they are nowhere near as bad as my dancing skills, and so
Oh
being
my
in a
God, that's
Broadway
true.
dance number, like, no one
But
wants
you
to
can
see.
hide. Like that's the thing. Like you could
No, you
hide.
can't.
You could like
No,
kind of be in the background of the dance ensemble
no,
dance number and singing like
no.
stand
And
up, you're
as
just under the light, man.
Hey, that's okay. I like to be in the light. But as Shakira once said, Ann, my hips don't lie. I'm not hiding. I'm not hiding. All right, the famed Governor's Ball is coming up soon, and its lineup includes the likes of Tyler, the Creator, Olivia Rodrigo, and I think it's pronounced Hosier. I have no idea.
Yeah.
When was the last time you balled out Cinderella style? Have you ever gone to a ball, Ann?
Um, I guess so. I like had to go to a gala. Is that like a
Yeah, gala. Yeah,
yeah.
gala will qualify as
I guess
balling.
that would be the closest thing, but
Was it a
no,
regatta
balls
gala? What kind of gala was
a
it?
regatta gala. It was a
It's a
fundraiser.
Friends joke.
What's a regatta gala?
It's a Friends joke. It's from Friends. I think they go to a regatta gala or something.
Oh,
Remember that
oh,
episode?
oh, yes. Oh my God. I
Yeah.
thought you said a French joke. And I was like, we've
No,
been
no,
hanging
no.
out with a lot of French people this
We
week,
have. We spent the week in the French booth. Yes.
I don't know that term. Yes, yes, the regatta gala. Okay, now I remember. But yes, no, I think it was like a fun, I don't even remember what the fundraiser was for, but I had to dress up
What
and
did you
it's
wear?
fun.
Did you wear a flowing gown?
No.
Was it like one of those where you wear a corset and
Oh
the
God,
gown
no.
underneath you is really
No,
big
if
and
we're talking
wide,
that's a gala,
like
then or that's
Cinderella
a
style?
ball. No, I haven't no, it was just like a I don't know, like a
Did you wear a
formal dress.
tiara?
I did wear a tiara because one of the
You did.
time,
Oh my God, I was
not
reaching on
as
that
like an
one.
attendee, but we were like some friends and I were volunteers. So like there was like a little one of the jewelers had like a little headbandy dime like an actual diamond thing that I got to like wear around and then people bid on
Wow.
it and then yeah.
Wow. Wow. You were a
Yeah.
tiara model? Anne was a
I
tiara model.
was a tiara model at one time in my life. It was fleeting. It'll never happen again, but
That's
it was
amazing. A tiara
magical.
model. Wow. Who knew those things even existed? All right. Happy birthday today to Regina King, Ernie Reyes Jr., and the man who played the super hottie tag to Jennifer Aniston's Rachel on Friends, Eddie Cahill. Do you remember Tag, Ann?
No, I need to watch Friends again. I think
Oh,
I was
man.
like, I watched it religiously when it was out, but I
I'm
was
guessing you
young.
would I'm guessing you would remember him. I think
Oh,
he was
I'm
kind of
gonna look him up after. Don't
yeah. All
worry.
right.
Don't worry.
And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it Omni Talk, the only retail media outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 U.S. retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our daily newsletter, the Retail Daily Minute, tells you all you need to know each day to stay on top of your game as a retail executive, and also regularly features special content that is exclusive to us and that Ann and I take a lot of pride in doing just for you. Got to get out of New York, yeah. Thanks
Gotta
as
get
always for
out.
listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. You can follow us today by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalk Retail. So until next week, on behalf of all of us at Omni Talk Retail, as always, be careful out there.